So some of the reasons a personal injury case can fail is a lack of sufficient evidence. Somebody didn't preserve the evidence, take pictures, get witnesses, information. The police didn't show up, or video wasn't taken of the scene, because sometimes we get a lot of information actually from body cams from the police, but just not the right evidence or insufficient evidence can make it fail. Failure to treat appropriately. When you're in an accident, we need you to get immediate care. Obviously, you'd want that to get better. There's other ways you have to look at how can we prove the right story. We look at those kinds of things. A lot of times witnesses at the scene will help you. At the scene, somebody says, oh yeah, it was my fault, I'm so sorry. And they realize that's gonna be a bad mark on my driving record and my insurance is gonna go up. And so they change their story. And that happens a lot. The story gets changed, and they could admit fault at the scene, and then later on they're sitting there telling their insurance companies it really didn't happen that way, or the plaintiff really wasn't that hurt, or they were yelling at me or doing this and that, and there's some negative things about the plaintiff. So like we discussed before, there's some shared fault where your recovery would be reduced by the amount of your percentage at fault, or depending on the circumstances, it could even bar you from getting anything. A delay of seeking medical treatment. I just had a case today. It had been a 6-month delay. The juries, judges, and insurance companies, they don't believe that you're really hurt if you delay the taking care of yourself. They figure if you're hurt, you'll be going to the doctor. They want actual proof. You could be at home dying in pain, but if you didn't go to the doctor consistently without any gaps in treatment, then they figure you must have been fine. Otherwise, you would have got medication or you would have got treatment. Sometimes it's a legal issue. Sometimes the statute of limitations ran. We see a lot of those on a daily basis. People call us when the statute's just about to run after 2 years and want to know if we can file it within the next day. Other things are like inconsistent statements and untruthful statements by our clients or witnesses. So credibility is a real important thing and can either make or break your case. Obviously, you don't want to contradict what you say in a deposition or trial versus what you say to the doctor. And we have that happen frequently, where the client will say something to the doctor and the doctor will write a note on it, and then in a deposition will say something different. That's the destruction of your credibility. So make sure that everything is the same. If you tell the truth, you're fine. Make sure everything is the same. Pre-existing condition can cause some problems. Low or minimal damage to the vehicle. Sometimes the jury just didn't buy that the person was hurt and didn't believe the person. The credibility of the person is important, and the damage amount is important. And then lack of legal representation. We get a lot of stuff, people wanting to know answers when it's really too late. They either delayed treatment, they delayed pursuing anything, or they delayed collecting the evidence and it was gone, and then all of a sudden now they want to take care of it and it's too late. Those are some complex issues that arise. Sometimes we get clients that don't cooperate with us. They won't show up for depositions. They won't answer discovery. You can't find them. They disappear. So that happens sometimes. Keep in contact with your attorneys. If you don't follow the medical advice of your doctor, you're basically tanking your claim. So if the doctor says, hey, you really need to do this, and instead you ignore them and say, I'm just going to do whatever I want and I'm not going to show up, or I'm going to do that and this and that. It's difficult to get juries on board when you're not following what the doctors tell you to do. Our expert doctors are important because they'll go through your treatment and what you were feeling and why the injuries are the way they are and why they haven't healed or whatever the situation is. Occasionally, our experts can't, within a reasonable degree of medical certainty, say things. And that's the bar of their testimony. It has to be a reasonable degree of medical certainty that something happened. Ultimately, it's the judge or jury that decides these cases, and sometimes they don't see it the way we see it or the way that we thought they would see it. Sometimes it can be a surprise. But hopefully you prepared enough, you were consistent enough, the evidence is there, you collected it early. That's why you establish all this information as you're going through the healing process. You're gathering evidence, making your case very solid for the jury so that when you finally get there, there's no gaps, no holes, and you've basically covered everything before you get there in preparation, and so that you can win and win big.